Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our final wellness presentation in our consumer wellness series for 2025. I can't believe I'm saying that, but here we are, close to the end of 2025 already. We've gone over quite a few things this year, and I hope you will come back in January as we will reconvene with our consumer wellness series. But for today, we are going to be looking at how we can kickstart our libido. Now, if you have any questions throughout this morning's presentation, please do not hesitate to write your questions out in the chat in the Q&A, and I will stop and do my best to answer your question or questions at that time. Tomorrow, I will be sending a copy of this presentation along with the recording to everybody. So we're going to get started with hormones because it's all about hormones and if our hormones are working well or not working so well, whether or not our libido is going to be pumping or not so much, whether we're going to have loads of energy or not much energy at all, because the two are definitely intertwined. We're going to look today at a number of supplements that we manufacture at Omega Alpha that can help support the health of your hormones. So, endocrine glands are responsible for secreting hormones and releasing them into the bloodstream to regulate the system pathways in the body. Our hormones are made up of proteins, peptides, amino acids, and steroids, and nourished through the fats, the vitamins, and minerals consumed in our diet. So, what we're eating could either be helping or hindering how our hormones are functioning. Hormones are part of an exceedingly complex messaging system, and complex is the word here. Very important for how the organs work, the tissues, how they're supported, even supporting our bone structure with regards to estrogen for us women. Looking at if estrogen is dropping off, levels are reduced. And how that can increase porosity in the bones. Also, the emotional components and could distinguish whether we're going to be a Jekyll and Hyde personality or not. So, sexual dysfunction. And dysfunction is a term that's used in the medical profession, basically as a way of indicating where there's something not in balance, basically. So in women, symptoms of sexual dysfunction include lack of sexual desire, quite often due to, I guess, hormonal imbalances, loss of energy, insufficient lubrication, and painful intercourse. So the lack of sexual desire with regards to women can be related to stress. And I always talk about how stress is always at the top of the list with regards to not only sexual dysfunction, but in how other systems are working, like our immune system and our digestive system, for example. So that stress could be emotional, it could be mental, physical. We look at illness. Any illness can also will create stress in the body, or stress will create that illness. It works both ways. Changes in hormonal levels and medical drug prescriptions. Quite often, when we take prescriptions, those medicines that we're taking are going to work very quickly to target the issue, but they're also going to deplete the body of nutrients that we need, vitamins, minerals, and so forth. In men, when we're looking at men, symptoms of sexual dysfunction include the inability to get or maintain an erection, lack of sexual desire, just like with women, and premature ejaculation, just to name a few. Sexual dysfunction in men can result from disease or illness, clogged arteries, stress, again, rearing its ugly head, prescription medications, nerve damage resulting from surgery, and other injuries. So the reason why we are dealing with lack of libido or any type of sexual dysfunction could be the result of a number of things. Could be a combination. In some instances, a lack of sexual desire in both genders, as well as the inability to get an erection for men, can be related to a low concentration of the hormone testosterone. So that is the first supplement we're going to look at this morning, is Tribulus terrestris. And Tribulus is available in capsules and liquid. And whenever we we have tribulus available to us as an herb in a liquid form, we call that puncture vine. And I don't know why that is, because it's the same herb, it's tribulus, it's just in a different form. And so whether we purchase or decide to use a liquid or an encapsulated version, the results are going to be the same, or the indications for that herb are going to be the same. So tribulus is an herb that supports the genitourinary system, so supporting kidney health, prostate health, but also supports reproductive organs and so forth for both genders. It's also very supportive for building muscle mass, and we have research to support that comment. Can also be helpful for supporting cardiovascular health. So you'll find that with herbs, as I've spoken about a lot in the past, herbs have a multitude of functions associated with them. So they're not just for one specific part of the body per se. So yes, we talk about tribulus being supportive for the genitourinary system, but it's also good for cardiovascular health too. You'll find, generally speaking, that liquids are more easily absorbed by our system, and they tend to work more quickly than if you were to take capsules or tablets of the same said herb or nutrient. So for people who like liquids, and my preference for the most part, I love liquids, but that's my preference. Not everybody has the same preference. So we have these herbs available in different formats. You can use tribulus by itself, or you can use it with Vitasex or horny goatweed, which we are going to be talking about as well this morning. So there's nothing wrong or nothing unsafe about combining these formulas together. All of our formulas have been formulated so they can be used together safely. Keeping in mind that there's a huge safety margin for when we use herbs. So the worst case scenario, if you decide to take too much because you want to see quicker results, and we do get a lot of questions about these types of formulas, such as, if I take this product today, I have a date tonight, and will it work? I can't guarantee that, unlike Viagra, for example, that little blue pill, our products will never work as quickly. So you might need to take a whole bottle of the puncture vine, or you might need to take the tribulus terrestris for a few weeks before you even notice a difference. So we have to have realistic expectations when it comes to taking herbal formulas. This product is beneficial for both men and women, both genders. So for example, we do recommend it for athletes, because we're looking at building lean muscle mass, enhancing energy, low libido. And with traditional Chinese medicine, you've probably heard of the term qi being used, chi. It's quite often used, and it's a word that describes our overall energy, libido, our drive. So whether it's sexual health, our sexual drive, or our just desire to get things done, whether we're athletes or whether we just need more energy, that qi is linked to different types of energy, and supports different parts of the body. For impotence, when we're looking at men, infertility in both men and women, low energy, low vitality in general. This can raise our energy levels, or our chi, as I mentioned. Hormones, so it's about balancing our hormones, because as we get older, our energy levels will drop and our hormone levels will drop. It's just a natural process. Some men and women don't experience low libido as they get older. It will not affect everybody the same way, but many women and even men, when we talk about women with regards to menopause, men go through what we call andropause, where there's a drop in their testosterone levels. Kidney health and prostate health are all supported with tribulus as well. So even though we talk about, erectile dysfunction and prostate support, this product is just as beneficial for women, increasing their libido, improving maturation of the ova. So for couples who are trying to conceive, this would be an excellent option. So whether you're taking the liquid or the capsules, all of this will remain true and will support the body the same way. The only difference is the liquid will tend to work more quickly, so you'll probably see results more quickly if you take the puncture vine. But keeping in mind that puncture vine is tribulus, and they will do the same thing for both men and women. Looking at horny goatweed in the name, a lot of people chuckle when they see the name of this product. Horny goatweed, there's a quick story that I'd like to tell about this particular formula. It's in nature, goats, and we actually have a marketing piece on this where there's an image of a couple sitting in a field with goats nearby. And horny goatweed is a plant, it's an herb that goats would consume. And it was noticed that when they consumed the horny goatweed, that they became more amorous towards each other. So someone in all their glory decided to test this out on humans because these herbs are safe for all mammals. So we thought, or not we thought, but we took this herb and decided to come out with it in our product line for people because goats were, it was noticed in the world for goats that there was an improvement in, energy and how they interacted with each other. So horny goatweed can help, not only help with enhancing libido and energy, it can help increase sperm production and viability in men, can also decrease blood pressure in both men and women, and stimulate the immune system. So this is where we see a multitude of benefits surfacing for these herbs. Effective for both genders, which is nice. It's not just for men or just for women. Liquids, again, talking about liquids being more easily absorbed than tablets or capsules, and that's regardless of what you want to consume, whether it's an herbal or a liquid-based vitamin mineral or whatever it might be. Liquids get into our bloodstream a lot more quickly, so people tend to see quicker results. Again, safety margin is huge for herbs. So the worst case scenario, if you take too much horny goatweed or too much of the tribulus, the worst case scenario is you might feel a little unwell, or your stool might get looser, or you will experience diarrhea, but no one has died as the result of taking too much horny goatweed or too much tribulus. You can combine the horny goatweed with Vitasex, even though it is in Vitasex, as is tribulus, but you can combine these products safely together for additional support. So, horny goatweed, yes, beneficial for enhancing libido, also good for supporting our immune system, supporting the health of our bones, sexual desire. The last thing people want to do when they have low energy is to be amorous. Or engage in sexual intercourse with their significant other, because there's a tendency with lower energy to be parallel or synonymous with low libido. So we want to kickstart our energy levels. And with all of these formulas, you've got something in the formula that's going to help with enhancing energy levels as well. There's just different ways of doing it. We can use vitamins, we can use herbals. There's different ways that we can support our body to enhance energy levels. But at the end of the day, it's enhancing our energy, our vitality, or as the Chinese say, our qi. And a lot of the formulas we make at Omega Alpha are based on traditional Chinese medicine. So I thought I would bring the qi portion up, or the qi idea up to everybody. Physical performance, again, with more energy, we have more stamina and endurance for whatever exercise we are going to be competing in, or whatever exercise we're engaging in, I should say, throughout the day. So taking 1 teaspoon per day, can you take more than that? Absolutely. You can take it to bowel tolerance, which other words means that you take it until your stool is looser, or until you notice some improvement. So you can take more than 1 teaspoon a day. This is just a suggested dose or a guideline set out by Health Canada. Now, Vitasex is a combination of a number of ingredients. We've got maca for energy, we've got tribulus, we've got horny goatweed. This is why I wanted to save this one till after we looked at the horny goatweed and the tribulus, because both of those are also in the Vitasex. The Vitasex is a more comprehensive approach. And for people who are trying to conceive or to want to enhance their libido or their sexual desire, I tend to go towards a more comprehensive approach for people, because with more ingredients, you've got more support for your body from these different perspectives. And that's normally where I would go if you're trying to figure out which would be best for you or your significant other. I always tend to go, as a general rule, to the more comprehensive approach or the multi-ingredient formulas because there's more support for the body versus using a single ingredient formula. So this is where we would look at a product like Vitasex with the maca and the tribulus and the horny goatweed and the ginkgo biloba to enhance oxygen flow to the peripheral tissue, especially when we're looking at men who cannot sustain an erection or cannot get an erection. The Vitasex might be the better approach for the man in question. So looking at there's adaptogens in this formula that help the body deal with stress. And if you can remember to the very beginning of the presentation where I talked about stress being a potential reason why people are experiencing what we call sexual dysfunction, then this can deal with that or support the body during times of stress. And stress is the number one reason, in my opinion, that people are getting sick. The lack of ability to deal with stress. And for those of you who are joining us this morning, we are going to be looking at effective stress management on Thursday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So you may want to sign up for that presentation as well. The nutrients in this formula that support healthy circulation. There are many reasons why men cannot sustain an erection or get an erection because poor circulation. Maybe they're diabetic. There could be a number of reasons why they're having a difficult time with that. So supporting healthy circulation is very important when we're looking at getting more oxygen flowing to the peripheral tissue for both men and women. So Vitasex is great for also for immune support because it's a great anti-stress choice. Libido enhancement, sexual desire, bone health, erectile dysfunction, low energy or chi, vitality, and adrenal health. Because when we're looking at adrenal insufficiency, we need to support our adrenal glands. And some of the herbs, like maca, for example, are instrumental in supporting how our adrenals are working. So during times of stress, quite often people, the last thing they think about is their sexual health. Their libido is tanking and they're so busy dealing with other things that it tends to take a back seat or it's put on the back burner, so to speak. So the Vitasex is available in a 120 mil and a 250 mil size, and you can, it's a more comprehensive approach for healthy energy, sexual libido, and so forth. Now, we also have other approaches. We have a vitamin and mineral approach. We have our daily multivitamin for men that are 50 plus. And this particular formula, again, contains vitamins and minerals that are really good for overall health and energy production in men, especially with the B complex. We also have added herbs that help with, incomplete voiding, frequent daytime and nighttime urination, things that men, as they get older, are starting to experience. BPH, or we call benign prostatic hyperplasia, where there's an enlargement of the prostate. We also find we have some herbs in here like saw palmetto that are going to help with low libido, prostate support. So there's been added herbs in this formula for low libido, which we tend to see more so in men as they get older. We also have a daily multivitamin for adult men that, of course, just because you're not 50 plus doesn't mean you can't take this formula. So if we're dealing with a 35-year-old male who's dealing with low libido, erectile dysfunction, things like that, yes, they could take tribulus. They could also take the multivitamin for men 50 plus. You don't have to be 50 and over to take this formula. The reason why I'm talking about it this morning is because it's included some of the herbs that are instrumental in supporting energy, supporting libido, and dealing with things that men can be predisposed to depending on what's going on in the family. When we look at the familial aspect, again, the hereditary aspect, but looking at dealing with urological issues, urinogenitory system, we've got those added herbs in this formula for men that are 50 plus. Also, we've got support for vision health, the immune system, muscles, as men get older. Of course, we look at muscle wasting. Same thing we look at for women as well. But this is something else that we can look at to support the body on a daily basis. For men that may not be getting nutrients from their diet, from what they're eating, this is more of what we call an insurance policy that men can take to support their body on an ongoing basis. And then lastly, we're looking at the daily multivitamin for women 50 plus, and where we see women as they get older. And again, women who are younger than 50 can take this formula if they have symptoms associated with low libido. If they're into perimenopause, some women go into perimenopause sooner than other women, or they'll go into menopause 100% if they've had their ovaries removed, for example. So there could be differing reasons why women are looking at this particular formula in their 30s, because this formula, and we do have a formula for adult women as well, but again, depending on the symptoms that women are displaying, this might be the better option for women who are dealing with hormonal dysfunction, sexual dysfunction, as I mentioned earlier on. Again, women who are dealing with hot flashes, bone loss. There's a little bit more vitamin D and support from a mineral perspective in this formula, because we are looking at more bone loss as women get older quite often due to the drop of estrogen or the lack of estrogen. Lack of estrogen is a common thing. It happens as we get older, so that has been added into the women's 50 plus formula. Also good for vision, immune, skin, muscles, again, as women get older too, unlike with men, where we're looking at potential muscle wasting. We look at this formula as containing nutrients that support the health of the muscles. And there's vitamins, again, the B vitamins, we've got antioxidants. You'll find them all wrapped up into one nice formula. And so you would take one capsule twice a day with food. The men, same thing, one capsule twice a day with food. And this can be added to the other formulas as well. Speaking of the other formulas, this is where we go over how we use all of the formulas. So, for example, when we're looking at Tribulus, for example, the first product we looked at, whether you get it in the liquid form or the capsules, either or, depending on your preference, it can be used by itself or combined with the other formulas. So yes, even though there is Tribulus in the Vitasex, you can still take the puncture vine or the Tribulus capsules with the Vitasex for a little bit more support, depending on what your health goals are. Vitasex can be used by both men and women, as can the Tribulus and the puncture vine, to improve energy and libido. In fact, all of the formulas can be used in that regard. The daily multivitamin for men 50 plus can be taken with all the supplements to support overall health. So this is where you feel, and this is a perfect time of year to discuss stress, because people are dealing with stress all year long, but stress of the holidays, getting together with family or getting ready for the holidays, um, a lot of stress involved with that. And people are concerned and they're stressed out about finances, or potentially getting together with certain people, or stress, family constraints, things like that can create a lot of stress in both men and women. I find it creates a lot more stress with women, because women quite often are dealing with the whole, dealing with, shopping. And not to say that men don't, but women are always tending to, they have the more nourishing aspect associated with them, generally speaking. So that added stress, again, looking at the holidays, can be very difficult for people. And depression can be part of it, the emotional aspects associated with libido, and also with the coming holidays. Can also reduce our energy levels and create more stress. So taking a good multivitamin that combines, the B vitamins, antioxidants, additional nutrients to support specific needs that both men and women need to support their system, prostate support for men, genital urinary system for both genders, the reproductive reproductive, not so much for people who are 50 plus, more for the adult versions, but just looking at overall energy and getting us through the day, these multivitamins can definitely help. And I know when I take them, I do notice a difference. All of these formulas can be used to enhance energy and vitality. So whether we're looking at an herbal approach or a vitamin and mineral approach, the supplements can be taken preventatively. So you know that the holidays are coming, there's going to be more added stress. We can start to take these formulas now. We can use them for short periods of time or for longer periods of time. I find that more people question the longer periods of time than any other situation. In fact, most people call us and ask questions about our supplements when there's already something wrong. Most people are not using these products in a preventative way. However, you can support your body, and we highly recommend that and like to educate on using our supplements in a preventative way. But for use for months at a time, and especially when we're looking at hormonal imbalances, it might take 2 to 3 months before some people will notice a difference. And if you're used to taking medications, again, just clarifying, it takes longer for these products to work than for products like Viagra or other medications like hormone support therapy and things like that. You can use the products together, as I mentioned already. Now, what happens if you are taking medications? It could be an antibiotic, it could be on hormone replacement therapy, or, any other type of medication. The general rule of thumb for taking our supplements is to take them 2 to 3 hours away from medication or medications. If you do have any questions at all about, certain medications, please let me know, because if I don't know the answer and you don't feel confident with this statement, let me know, and I can always ask Dr. Chang, who um, is the chief product formulator and our CEO of Omega Alpha, and he has a very strong background in pharmacology and understanding how the medications will work with these herbals, because it is a myth that all natural supplements can be taken at the same time as medications. That is very untrue. We like to err on the side of caution. Um, Usually the worst case scenario is if you take a natural supplement with a medication at the same time, that it will render the medication less effective. That's usually the worst case scenario, but we don't want to take any chances. And if by chance you happen to you're taking any of these supplements and you're taking them at the same time as your medications, don't worry. It's not a situation that warrants you to go to the hospital or anything like that. It's just something that we'd like to do to, again, I'd rather err on the side of caution than take any chances. So you'll see that showing up on all of the slide, the libido or the supplement strategy slides over the year, is to just take the supplements 2 to 3 hours away from medications. Now, we do have a toll-free number that you can call at any time, or you can reach out to me directly. That toll-free number, again, will be directed towards myself. I have heard from many of you over the span of the last couple of years with regards to questions, so please do not hesitate to reach out. Now, does anybody have any questions about this morning's topic? I would like to wish everyone a happy holiday season. If I don't speak to you again, this will be our final our consumer wellness series for 2025. I look forward to you joining me again next year. We will have we will have our calendar out probably by mid-December or early January. And I do appreciate your attendance this year, because without you, we would not be able to continue with these presentations. So on that note, I'd like to thank everyone for joining me. Please watch your inboxes tomorrow. You'll find a copy of the presentation and a link to the recording. Have a wonderful holiday season if I don't speak with you again, and thank you for your participation and ongoing support for 2025. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.